Baby.
Welcome back to Toasty Tips. So today I'm going to be talking about a very interesting experience I've had over the week in the Magic world. So one of my favorite things to do is I like buying full decks on eBay, like literally full 75 card deck. I mean sometimes it's like 71 or 73 where people skimp on their sideboard cards. But generally speaking, I'm buying a full deck, and mostly I like to do this because you can generally get like $100 to $300 off depending on the price of the deck. And also, I don't really keep a big collection on hand, so if I'm going to build a deck, I generally have like 0 to maybe 5 of the cards that go into that deck. So I would need to normally buy all the commons and uncommons piecemeal, and those can actually add up really quickly. Whereas if you buy the full deck, then they kind of get put in as just like a nice throw in for you. So I recently bought the modern Abzan deck, so it has 4 Tarmogoyfs, 4 Liliana the Veil, a bunch of fetch lands, basically money the deck. It's just, 3 colors, green, black, white, with all the best and generally most expensive cards per color. A few years back, this deck was actually around $2,000, back when Tarmogoyfs were literally $200 a piece, and this was definitely several years ago before they had any of their reprints. They have since been reprinted 3 times. Liliana the Veils were $100 back then, and even Inquisition of Kozilek, which is a uncommon or maybe a common even, were $25 a piece just because they also had not been reprinted yet and were very rare, powerful, and heavily played. So with my Abzan deck, when it first came in, most things seemed legitimate. I did check out the goyfs, and on the front border, I thought they looked a little green. So here's one of them. I don't think it's really going to come through that much. Come on, focus gods. But in any case, I thought it looked a little light and a little weird, but people also say frequently that Wizards of the Coast has very questionable and imprecise printing. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's just a weird print run or something like that. Although I did find it a little weird that all 4 Goyfs shared the same, border lightness basically. Traditional wisdom though is that if you get a magic card and if it looks like a magic card and it feels like a magic card, everyone says like if you have touched normal magic cards and then feel a counterfeit, you'll just immediately know that it's probably a counterfeit. But in this case, the goyfs they felt fine to me. Like they felt authentic. Like they look pretty good. Like I mean, it feels like a card. Like the thickness of it looks about right to me. So I thought it was probably fine. But then something in the back of my head kept thinking, like, I don't know, just what about those goyfs? Like, obviously, if they were fake, they're about $200 at this point, so I certainly don't want to be out $200 and or be playing with fake cards. So then I started doing some research on fakes and whatnot, and eventually I discovered that my goyfs were probably fake. The main thing that led me to believe this is on the back here where it says Deckmaster. If you look at it by itself, again, I'm not sure. Hopefully this comes through decently on camera. But if you look at this by itself, it actually looks pretty legit. It's like, yeah, it's this light blue color. It's your standard magic card. But then if you compare it with a normal magic card, this color of Deckmaster is actually totally off. So at this point, alarm sirens were ringing in my head, and I also noticed that like this brownish color was off a bit too. Um, but like I said, you only really notice if you're comparing it next to another card. So at this point, my alarm bells were going off. I messaged the seller on eBay. Generally, eBay super protects buyers. So yeah, definitely go to eBay if you ever suspect getting counterfeit cards on eBay or if the seller just doesn't deliver your item because there's a very large chance eBay will protect you as the buyer. So I learned you can also do what they call the light test, where you can use something like your cell phone, turn on the light, and then put a magic card up to it. So it's kind of cool that your standard magic cards will actually glow through with a bluish hue, and it's something like because of the paper that's inside of the cards. Whereas my Tarmogoyfs just showed through with a brownish light, which is just the actual color of the back of the card. And there's also just like a certain amount of light that a real magic card will let through, whereas my goyfs let through a lesser amount of light. So at this point, I was 100% convinced that the goyfs were fake. I took it to my local game store, and a friend happily appraised it for me, and he also confirmed that the goyfs were fake. So I did go through to eBay, got my refund, and everything's fine now. Ordered some real, hopefully, goyfs, so we'll stay tuned for how that pans out. But yeah, so that's not to let you guys know, like, counterfeits are definitely a very real thing at this point. Definitely be very careful when ordering, I'd say probably any card above 40 bucks. And particularly if they're older cards that don't have the little hollow foil stamp in the bottom middle of the card, which of course is only on rares and mythic rares. But of course, most of your big money cards at this point will be rare and mythic rare. So I'd recommend whenever possible buy it newer so you do get that stamp. To my knowledge, that has not been counterfeited successfully yet, or there are attempts, but they're just hilariously, blatantly, obviously bad. So yeah, just make sure double, triple check your cards. Some people also use jeweler loops, and you can check out like the dot pattern of the printing. It's definitely getting a little crazy, but if you're certainly dealing in, something like Tarmogoyfs or Liliana the Veils from the original Innistrad, or something like revised dual lands, that's definitely the level of steps you should be taking at this point to protect yourself and the people you're trading with. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching my video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe as it really helps me out. Thanks.